It is 5:32. I hereby call the meeting of the Round Rock Independent School District Board of Trustees called board meeting on Tuesday, February 22nd to order. Trustee Tiffany Harrison is absent. All other trustees are present. Please stand for the pledge. All right, we're going to move on to public comment. At each board meeting, the board will set aside time to afford the general public an opportunity to speak on items on the agenda. We ask that concerns or complaints regarding specific individuals not be raised in this public forum. Specific concerns about employees or former employees should be considered separately according to applicable board policies. The board requests that comments, whether positive or negative, be courteous and respectful. I would like to remind the audience and the viewers that the comments of the speakers reflect their own positions or opinions. Please note that while the public does have the right to speak, that right is not unlimited. Per Texas Penal Code 38.13, 42.01, 42.02, and 42.05, and Texas Education Code 37.105, no audience member or speaker will be permitted to engage in any conduct that is disruptive or threatening toward any speaker or any other person, or to violate the privacy rights of another person. The board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience. If, after at least one more individual warning from the presiding officer, any individual continues to disrupt the meeting by his or her words or actions, the presiding officer will request assistance from law enforcement officials to have the individual removed from the meeting. The board may not discuss or act upon any matter that is not listed under the agenda action item portion of the agenda. Therefore, board members may not discuss the comments of the speakers. Please understand that a lack of response from board members does not indicate agreement or approval of the comments. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to address the board. Trustee Weir will be the designated timekeeper. And our first speaker tonight will be John Kagi, speaking on item D 1, 2, and 3, and you do live in the district.
I'd like to use my time to ask a few questions about the Level 3 process. It's my understanding from polling community members that there are many Level 3 complaints needing to be heard by the board. Why have these particular complaints being addressed tonight? Are more on the schedule to be heard? Are some Level 3 complaints deemed more important or timely than others? Are others swept under the rug until all those involved forget about them? Or do they all follow the process my complaint last year followed? In August last year, a Level 3 complaint brought to the board by myself and a few other families was dismissed because, quote, districts cannot require any person to wear a face covering after June 4th, 2021. It was not 3 weeks later that the same board changed their mind and issued a mandatory mask mandate despite both GA 36 and your own admission that you did not have the authority. I hope your legal counsel will give you a better understanding of what your rights are to hear these 3 cases before you now. If I was in your position, I would not trust any legal opinion until I had researched it myself. You've been way too flippant and hypocritical for anyone in this community to trust that you will adjudicate any complaint without bias. I urge you to follow your conscience and make sure you look at the cases from a point of view of the children that have been and will be impacted by your decisions. I trust that God has put you here in this position for such a time as this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Kimberly Coldren, speaking on D3, and you do live in the district.
And can I just say, I don't have the little cards that they say 30 seconds, so when I hold up this one, it's your 30-second warning.
My name is Kim Coldren. I have 2 children in the district. I'm here to support Katie's grievance against Trustee Weston. I first met Danielle Weston in 2009 when she attended the Round Rock Dyslexia Group meetings at the Round Rock Library. At those meetings, I'd see her shaking her head in disgust, listening to our conflicts with the district for our children, and referencing her attendance with her intended run for the board. I've gradually learned that what she says and does is calculated and self-serving. Although I know she will use a censure as another grand gesture for her campaigning and fundraising, she needs to be held accountable for her actions. With every month that passes in this elected position, she acts more entitled and emboldened. Weston's requests and disruptions are focused on disparaging students with special needs, the families that support them, the volunteers serving in the district, the staff's dedication, the motives of the boards, and the diversity of our school district. She is not interested in serving this community. She is only interested in serving her political career goals. I have never seen her as quiet since those dyslexia meetings.
Thank you very much. Next is Keith Hendrickson, speaking on item D1, and does not say if you live in the district or not. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I asked to speak tonight because it's taken 6 months to get my level 3 heard. And I believe it was only being heard tonight because I contacted Dr. Presley. And I thank you for that, if that's the case. Second item in this is that it's been agendaed as a closed session. At no point was I contacted or asked whether I wanted opened or closed. One of your legal admins advised me that it was a board decision. Tonight you came over and spoke to us and said it was the individual's right. I showed you the email where it says, again, it's the board decisions. Does anybody know what the rules are? I really doubt that you do, because you have a different idea than legal counsel or an admin in legal counsel. So I want my level 3 heard in open session. I think everyone deserves to hear it, because there have been times where even Tiffany Harrison has quoted the same rules that have been broken and sat there proudly and said, we're supposed to do all this. So I think you owe it to the entire community for it to be in open session.
Thank you very much. Next is Jill Ferris, speaking on items D1, 2, and 3, and you live in the district.
I want to take this time to review what the board does and does not consider to be acceptable behavior. Showing up at your son's school to intimidate, put your hands on, and flip off an SAT proctor. Allowed. Wanting to use facts, data, and evidence to make decisions instead of blindly following administrative recommendations. Not allowed. Encouraging truancy and student protests. Allowed. Wanting to address the mental health challenges facing Round Rock ISD students instead of debating mask mandates for the millionth time. Not allowed. Sending an image with death threat implications to a county judge. Allowed. Wanting to be fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. Not allowed. Insinuating fellow trustees are racist and need more training. Allowed. Expecting our Round Rock ISD police force to follow the law and not be used as enforcers to silence parents. Not allowed. Spending hundreds of thousands of dollars defending your terrible decisions in court. Allowed. Following the governor's executive order. Not allowed. Posting on Facebook that a Round Rock ISD parent is a naughty girl. Allowed. Asking for students and parents to have full access to a school board meeting. Not allowed. Continuing to berate and insult a fellow trustee even though she is uncontrollably sobbing. Allowed. Expecting fellow trustees to treat you with dignity and respect even though your opinions and beliefs do not align with theirs. Not allowed. And most importantly, beating up your pregnant mistress and then getting a lengthy vacation. Allowed. Nothing the 5 of you do surprises me anymore, but no, we aren't the only ones paying attention. Pick a standard and apply it consistently across the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Krista Lane, speaking on item D3. And do you live in the district? I do. Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm Krista Lane, a parent of 2 children in the district, and speaking on D3. Katie Kirish's proposed remedy of censuring Trustee Weston is both appropriate and timely. The board has already discussed with Trustee Weston her ongoing violations of board operating procedures, district policy, and the law, culminating in a majority vote that step K2 of board sanctions is complete as of December 16, 2021. Board operating procedures identify the board's next steps if there are additional violations as public censure in open session and removal from leadership positions, including board officer. Ms. Kirish presents a compelling case that multiple violations of ethical obligations and laws have come to light since December 16th. In addition, Trustee Weston's ethical violations are so numerous and persistent that she is impeding the effective functioning of our school district. She has violated at least 7 separate provisions of board ethics: flouting board policy, failing to respect the majority decision of the board, encouraging community members to work against the district and fellow trustees, blocking community members from expressing their views, disclosing information that is confidential by law, disclosing information that would needlessly harm the district, and lying as she pursues both legal action and media attention that harm the district. Both our students and staff need a functioning school district, which Trustee Weston's actions are undermining. Trustees, you have a responsibility to take action, and censure is the next action prescribed by your board operating procedures. Please add censure of Trustee Weston to the agenda for the next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Meredith Callison, speaking on item D3, and you do live in the district. I do. Thank you.
Like many of the people behind me, I'm a parent of children who receive special education services at district schools. I am here in support of Katie Kyrish and her complaint against Danielle Weston. The supporting documents in Katie's complaint show that Ms. Weston's actions toward Katie were retaliatory. Per Katie's supporting documents, Ms. Weston attempted to have Katie removed from her appointed post on the School Health Advisory Council following Katie publicly asking Ms. Weston to follow rules as required in a public forum. It is important to note that Katie is the only member of the School Health Advisory Council who also serves on the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. Having a parent who serves on both CPAC and the SHAC provides an essential bit of representation for students with disabilities. Ms. Weston's actions described in Katie's complaint set a dangerous precedent. They send the message, speak out against me and I will attempt to silence your voice. For this board to allow Ms. Weston's attempt to have Katie's voice silenced without taking action when given the opportunity would be unconscionable. I am asking the board to take an active role in protecting the voices of parents of Round Rock ISD children with disabilities and, by extension, our children themselves. Ms. Weston's unjustifiable attempt to remove Katie from the SHAC threatened to cut the link that ensures that students with disabilities have representation on the School Health Advisory Council. The work that is done to include children with disabilities in programming in their early years will continue to echo throughout their lives and affect outcomes for them as adults. I want to remind each of you that our best chance to help these children thrive as adults is to include them early and often. You have the opportunity to model for the teachers, parents, and general public outside of the special education population what advocacy looks like. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Alicia Markham speaking on item D3, and you do live in the district.
Hi, my name is Alicia Markham, and I'm the parent of 2 students in the district. I'm here today to express my support for Katie Kyrish's Level 3 complaint against Trustee Weston. The evidence lays out a compelling case that Trustee Weston attempted to use her position of authority to remove an appointed public servant without cause and furthermore restrict her and the public from advocating in a public forum set up through her official social media account. BFF Local states trustees should be accountable to the public by representing district policies and programs accurately, base decisions on fact rather than opinion, and consistently uphold all rules and policies. These ethical standards were not upheld in regard to this matter, and the timeline from when Ms. Kyrish and other members of the public made critical comments on social media in regard to Trustee Weston's job performance to the attempted removal of Ms. Kyrish from the shack by Trustee Weston and subsequent limiting of comments on Trustee Weston's public social media account establishes a greater pattern of retaliation against the public for holding her accountable to her campaign promises. It is especially troubling to me, as a parent of 2 students who receive special education services, that Trustee Weston's act of personal retaliation was also an inadvertent request to remove the only person on the shack who also serves on the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. Representation in all district committees is essential to serving the needs of every student in our district. This behavior also perpetuates a culture of retaliation of which many special education parents are already fearful. It is imperative for the sake of the district and the staff and families it serves that trustees who willfully commit ethical violations receive appropriate consequences. This cannot and should not be allowed to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Chuy Zarate. I don't see him here. Okay. Next is Marcy Tarvin, speaking on item D3, and you do live in the district. I do. Great, thank you.
My name is Marcy Tarvin, and I have 2 kids in elementary school in the district, one receiving special education and the other general education. I serve in a variety of ways on our campus and across the district. It is through this service in support of students with disabilities that I first met Katie Kyrish. In the 3 years since, I have come to know her as a passionate and intelligent advocate for children across our district. She puts her money where her mouth is by volunteering in many capacities to work on improving outcomes for all children in our district. What became abundantly clear when looking over the supporting documents for the complaint you all are hearing tonight is that Katie knows more about Trustee Weston's job than Trustee Weston. For someone who is no longer new to the board, Trustee Weston seems to have a hard time understanding her job, even when other trustees and legal counsel invest in explaining it to her. She also seems to struggle with basic common sense and an understanding of the responsibility and restrictions that come with this role. Instead of learning these things, she seems more focused on using our kids and special education in specific as a political tool or a fundraising catch. I was saddened to read in this complaint of her trivialization of a parent's good, honest, and diligent service, the abject cronyism she made no attempt to hide, and her complete lack of understanding and respect for the responsibilities and restrictions of her job on the board. Katie works hard on SHAC. She donates of her time and her expertise for all children. In addition, she is the sole representative on SHAC speaking for students with disabilities and their families. To lose this voice as payback for some perceived slight cannot be allowed to stand. Please hold Trustee Weston accountable for her bad conduct and send a clear message to everyone in our district that this type of behavior will not be tolerated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Jennifer Harvey, speaking on item D3, and you do live in the district. Okay, that's our last in-person speaker. We're going to go to virtual speakers. We have Jack Childs speaking on item D2, and you do live in the district.
There we go. Unmuted?
Yes, your turn.
Thank you. Sorry about that. In regards to D2, I would strongly urge that the board take into account the complainant's history of falsifying or exaggerating official complaints. This ties into several closed session items from December and January, and documentary evidence can be provided at request. In regards to D3, I do apologize. I thought I put that in the form, but apparently I didn't. I simply want to point out that a previous speaker said something that struck a chord with me. Trustee Weston's view and actions in regards to her opponents is speak out and I will silence you by whatever means necessary. Ms. Kyrish isn't the only one to speak out or experience Trustee Weston's retaliatory actions, legal and otherwise. Long-serving board members are ousted so cronies can fill that position. Critics are investigated and falsely implicated in actions. To be frank, we deserve better. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Our last speaker is Annie Vaughn, speaking on item D3, and you do live in the district. Annie Vaughn. She's in the waiting room.
I'm here if you can hear me, but I'm having a technical difficulty where I'm still hearing the last speaker speak.
Can you turn down the recording that you're watching?
Let me try that.
Okay, turn down the recording that you're watching, and then your time will begin.
Okay. I'm trying. Bear with me for just a moment. How is this?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, okay, this is tricky because it's still going, but I can do it. Good evening. My name is Annie Vaughn, and I'm the mother of 2 children who receive special education services through the district. Like the complainant, Katie Kyrish, I am a fierce advocate for my boys to receive the free and appropriate public education, which is guaranteed to them by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 1965. I was encouraged when a person who framed themselves as an advocate for students with special needs was elected to this board. When this person revealed themselves to not only be inexperienced with the unique needs of these students, but was actively working against their well-being, I was overwhelmingly disappointed by their lack of empathy and even contempt for the most vulnerable by refusing to wear a mask to keep them safe. Her public declaration of membership in what she terms the elite class, an announcement of the illegal obtainment of falsified medical documents claiming an exemption from an evidence-based public health measure, has revealed her to be not only an obstacle to the inclusion of special needs students, but she has been actively working against the well-being of all students under the care of this board. It is for these reasons, and with the support of the parents of this district, that I strongly urge the board to immediately censure Ms. Weston.
30 seconds.
She needs to be held accountable for her words, actions, which are actively harming students, their families, and the faculty and staff of this district who support them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last call for Chuy Zarate and Jennifer Harvey. Okay, I don't see either of them that have arrived. We're going to go into closed session. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074, the board will discuss, deliberate, and consider the public complaint filed by Keith Hendrickson. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074, the board will discuss, deliberate, and consider the public complaint filed by Christy Slape. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074, the board will discuss, deliberate, and consider the public complaint filed by Catherine Kyrish. We're going to go into closed session to meet with our attorneys first, then we'll bring the complainants back in one by one. So we're going to ask you to clear the room and let us meet with our attorneys, and then we will call you back in. It is 5:55.